Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Saltcast. We are here with the one and only Bert.
Young Bert.
It's me, Bert.
Yeah, you can find Bert wherever you listen to things.
Actually, only here.
We are back with...
Find him wherever
I'm
you
exclusive, baby.
This is our Halo episode. We are moving on from Halo 3, and we are going in release order. We are at Halo Wars now. So this is going to be a whole nother... it's a completely different genre as far as games go.
But...
all set in the Halo universe.
It's
same universe.
Well, yeah. Continue.
So yeah, same universe, and this takes place, for reference, 25 years before the first Halo event, which is Combat Evolved, which we already covered in a previous episode.
But then it ends after Halo 3.
Does it?
Yeah.
I couldn't really tell. I guess I wasn't really paying attention to the timeline.
I couldn't track the timeline.
The years, yeah. But regardless, it starts at 25 years before the first Halo event, just in the beginning of the Human Covenant War.
It's the first planetary invasion of the war, I believe.
Yeah, it is the first. So it takes place on a planet, well, it doesn't all take place, but you start off on the planet of Harvest, where the Covenant have invaded and pretty much destroyed the entire planet.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Well,
going back and playing this game again now, it's been years since I've played it. I did not realize how short it is. It feels very short, and it feels it is so self-contained and so to the point that I don't know. It just left me feeling funny. I thought there was more to it.
Well, there's
I feel like the real length of the game came from the actual playing of the mission. That was, I don't know. That doesn't make sense.
No, I know what you mean.
Mind.
I know what you mean. And here's the thing, right? I believe this game is on par with just aggressive difficulty of Halo 2. This game is so hard.
Yes. I had to play on easy towards the end because it was taking too long to finish the level. I would spend half an hour, 40 minutes on a level to die at the very end. And I was like, I don't want to repeat all of this.
There was no level that I lost on except for the one level, which I'll talk about when we get there. But this was my first time playing through the whole game on Legendary. So
I lost on 2 levels. There was 2 levels I died on.
But the one I lost on, I lost over 10 times. It took me
I only lost once.
You weren't on Legendary.
Oh yeah, I wasn't.
It took me forever to beat this one level. It was insane.
Yeah. So we'll kind of do this same way we've done every other Halo episode. We'll go mission by mission and kind of talk about the story, the narrative, the gameplay, the greater impact on the Halo games and the franchise as a whole.
I have some stuff about the history of how the game was made. I don't know if that's better before or after. I'll let you decide.
I know briefly.
Let's go ahead and do that now, and then we'll get into the game.
Okay, so you were talking about how the game was self-contained, mostly. And there's actually a reason for that. It's because originally Bungie didn't even want this game to be made. And it was a big argument between Bungie and Microsoft. And it eventually becomes one of the reasons that Bungie didn't want to keep making Halos at all. Or keep working with Microsoft and wanted to leave. Thanks, guys.
Why was it such a big deal?
They said that they didn't want other teams touching Halo and that it was whoring out the franchise.
No, I guess it's because it's their baby, so it would make sense. But it's kind of weird though, because I feel like this game added so much more to the universe, subtly.
Yeah, well, that's because nothing was able to be made until Bungie eventually was given permission to do the entire story, so they wrote the whole story.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I remember correctly, weren't they pretty hands-on with the development of the game?
Well, not development in terms of actual gameplay.
No, but they needed to story-wise.
Yeah, every single story type
visuals
thing was them
abilities
and things like that. Yeah, but
okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing behind it because they're we don't want it to be connected to the trilogy at all. We don't want any characters from the trilogy in this. This cannot.
Well, they succeed in that. They do succeed in doing that. And then they set it far enough back to where it like doesn't have any bearing on.
And
well,
not only that, but it also like takes place like outside of the area of the trilogy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it does. Even in the beginning.
So that was like a big thing where they just didn't want it to be made. It became a big thing where eventually they're like, fine, you can make it, but this is how it's gonna like go with the story. And then the other tragic thing about it was the company that did end up making it. You guys have probably heard of this game before. They used to make the Age of Empires games, which is like probably one of the top 2 RTS games. It's like StarCraft, Age of Empires.
I remember hearing about this.
Oh, that's something we should have already said. This game is an RTS. We never said that.
Yeah. So
way different than the first-person shooters that we've been playing. It's top-down RTS strategy.
Honestly, it's a nice change of pace.
Yeah, it is. It's nice. It's different, and it's fun. It's like engaging. Like setting it in the Halo universe makes me enjoy it a lot more because I don't really like real-time strategy games.
And I like hearing it go all units, like endlessly.
All units,
because you're just trying not to die.
Local units, all units.
Yeah. I almost never did local units.
I always do all units.
Did a couple times.
Yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know, real-time strategy game is basically what it sounds like. You are in real time organizing troops and weapons and vehicles and directing your army against another army.
Mm-hmm. You have to manage your resources or capture nodes so you can gain resources,
build bases.
Yeah, build bases, manage
defend
resources,
train units,
them, and yep, exactly.
So,
but
you go.
I was gonna say, I think we can get into the story stuff unless there's anything else.
I got a lot more.
Okay,
the Age of Empire.
Yeah, you interrupted me mid thing. So as I was saying, the company that they brought in to make it originally made the Age of Empire games, which were like one of the biggest RTSs. I would say like one of the most well known. It's like StarCraft, Age of Empires. So they got bought by Microsoft in the middle of them making a different game. And they were actually trying to not make RTS games anymore, so they were like midway through making a non-RTS game. Then Microsoft bought them, and they're like, "You're making a Halo game. Turn that game."
Weren't they working on a couple different games?
Yeah, but one main one. So they're like, "This is." They looked at their game. They're like, "Make that Halo, and do it as an RTS." And they're like, "Damn." And also, once you finish that game, we're shutting down this company.
Dang.
The fact that people stayed and continued to work on the project knowing their job is gone at the end of it is pretty impressive, especially because how good the game is.
Yeah, apparently only
tell that it was
like 3 or 4 people quit in that time that they were making the game, and then at the same time apparently it was like super awful development cycle for them because anytime they wanted to do something they'd have to go ask Bungie, and then Microsoft was like, hurry up, change everything to Halo.
Wow, that is surprising that the game came out at least as good as I think it is. I think it's a solid game.
Yeah, I think so too. So yeah, they basically had to go back and redo everything in a Halo version, and then when they were done, they were rewarded with being fired.
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
Really unfortunate.
Do you think they got helped, like transition to their next job, or were they just
idea. Maybe
abandoned?
But it's a little tragic for sure. But it's weird though. This game also came out at a time that like I think people weren't thinking there was going to be another Halo game because Halo 3 had come out. There was already like talks about Bungie not really wanting to keep doing Halo. So people are like, it's probably like there might not be more Halo games. And then they put out like a Halo game that is not a first person shooter. So people are like, damn, so is Halo just like whatever? Like, like what is happening
just
to it now?
IP.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Did I don't know if once it did come out, did people actually like have positive things to say about it, or was it like, why are they doing this?
No, people liked it. The people liked it a lot actually. It did actually something that Halo used to do a lot, I think, and it did what the original trilogy did, where it like how the original trilogy brought shooters to console and like revolutionized that. I feel like Halo Wars kind of did that for RTS games.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, I played other RTS games on PC, and they would not feel good with a controller. Like it's too complicated of inputs and stuff. But Halo Wars with a controller is like buttery smooth, like it's meant to be.
Yeah, like that's one of the main things that people have always said about Halo Wars. It's like people who play PC games are like, it's a little too simple for an RTS, but console people like it because it actually is like working well with a controller.
That's probably why I like it then.
And honestly, if you're more of a casual gamer, it's probably more up your alley too, because some of the more popular RTS games get super complicated, and it's almost like you have to learn an entire another like lexicon.
Yeah, and they also more of a casual, at least for RTSs.
Yeah, and like I've played a couple of the Age of Empire games, and like a big thing with RTS games is you usually have to micromanage your troops a lot, like in battle, which is just really hard. And maybe we just suck at games, but yeah, I also prefer Halo Wars, not only because it's Halo, that helps a lot, but it's just simpler.
Yeah, it is pretty simple and
one
like,
thing I will
easy to get a hold of.
In Halo, in this first game at least, the AI kind of has problems getting stuck. If you tell it to make too big of a move, you kind of have to micromanage them.
That is so annoying. You just reminded me. That was the most annoying thing about the entire game. If I wanted to move my entire army at once, and there was vehicles mixed in along with like ground troops.
Oh yeah, it slows them down.
It was like watching idiots try and like walk in an open field. In an open field. Like they just get stuck on each other and it takes them forever to move.
Yeah, you almost have to move your ground troops to one corner and then your vehicles to another.
Yeah, I had to like part the Red Sea and like make the vehicles move between the two.
Yeah, and then it like
God forbid you want to get a vehicle from one side of your army to the other.
It like locks your fastest vehicle speed to the slowest freaking guy. It locks everyone's speed to like the slowest guy in the army.
Except for air units. Air units always were so far ahead that they just...
Yeah, my air units would die before the rest of my army would get there if I send them too far ahead too quick.
No, me too.
But yeah, you go.
There's one mission where this was a big problem for me.
We'll talk about it when we get there. But yeah, that's basically what I think is an interesting history, that it was a company well known for RTS games didn't want to make one, forced into making one. Bungie didn't want it to be made. So really, no one behind the project wanted it to be made. Bungie didn't want it made.
I think they did an awesome job.
The company making it didn't want it to be made.
Yeah, considering the circumstances, definitely surprising that they were able to
pull it off
as well as they did.
Addition to the franchise as a whole.
I agree.
Definitely doesn't hurt its name.
And then, sorry, you go.
And it adds to the world.
I was just about to say that, yeah. It adds to the world.
I think I do. And it's a shame that, like, this series, actually, of Halo Wars, I feel like it's the only, like, not book that we get to see the expanded Halo universe.
Yeah, definitely. And it added things like that I was not sure of, and that I actually had to like go back and like Google and see. Like it made me curious about different things. Like there's a mission where we'll talk about it when we get there, but I went back and I was like, who are these people? And I Googled them and like looked them up.
You know what else is cool about this game? Since at the time, like the future of Halo was questionable, and Bungie was like very involved in like design decisions. Like this game just had like so many old scrapped ideas thrown into it, like all these unique vehicle types, enemy types, locations, so much stuff. Yeah, it was
cool. The elephants were cool.
Well, elephants are in Halo 3.
Yeah. I know, but I don't think they're in Halo 2 Wars. Or Halo Wars 2.
No, they're not. I don't think so.
There's a bunch of vehicles that are very cool, and even troops and
designs. That's what I'm saying.
Halo... let's talk about the aesthetic, like the art design of the game.
Yo, I
love the art design.
I'm not sure if
the cutscenes look phenomenal.
I'm not sure if this is an unpopular opinion or not, but I think Halo Wars 1 gameplay art design is way better than the second one.
I don't know about the gameplay art design, but the cinematics and like the cutscenes and stuff.
Oh yeah, well the
like
cinematics,
the design of the Marines, I love. Like they're different, but just familiar enough to where it's like that's a Halo Marine. And then the elite
Spartan
designs
squad
are pretty cool. The Spartan designs are awesome. They have it takes place further back in the timeline, so they have like an older version of the Mjolnir armor.
Oh, have you seen?
Pretty cool to see
that the recent season of Halo Infinite is actually the Spirit of Fire, and it brings that armor to Infinite.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, that's a good perfect timing because we just finished playing that.
Yeah, right. And guess what? You're not the only one who thinks those cinematics were awesome, because that company that did the cinematics ended up doing the Halo 2 Anniversary cinematics. Same company.
Oh, wow. I did
that
not
makes
know that.
sense. That tracks.
That's crazy. That game when did that game come out? Like 2000?
Must have been like 9, because it was before Reach and after 8 or 9, because it was before Reach and after 3.
It's been almost 14 years. And it still looks pretty good. Like, there's a couple things here and there, like faces look a little funny or whatever, but it looks pretty good to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and
I was
that bridge scene.
My eyes were enjoying what they were looking at.
But cool stuff all around. Like, the history a little sad, but they came through. They, I think, pioneered. Like, even these days, I mean, it's been a while since a Halo Wars, but Halo Wars was like the only semi-successful console RTS that I can think of.
Yeah,
I wouldn't know.
I'm sure there's
much.
probably. Oh, sorry. I'm sure there's probably some.
I mean, there's probably more now, but Halo Wars 1 was definitely like the first, like, this is an RTS that is actually playable on a controller.
Yeah,
I would agree with you.
And spoiler alert, guys, the second one is better in most ways.
I haven't played the second one yet, so I'm excited to get to that.
Me too.
That's all I got for history, though. So now we can
get
to
into
the levels.
Yeah, we can get into the levels. So a little like, chime in, Sebastian, whenever if I'm forgetting something.
Okay.
But the game like kind of opens up. You're introduced to Captain Cutter, who's the captain of the ship that the game is like mostly taking place around, like that crew.
One thing I want to make a comment about. Captain Cutter is not as cool as Captain Keys.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
I like Cutter.
Cutter's okay,
Cutter
but he's
is a
not
great
Keys.
motivational speaker, but he never does anything. Keys was
he just questions and like...
Keys was out there fighting.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. So yeah, you get to meet Cutter. He's the captain of the Spirit of Fire. That's the name of the ship.
Cool name.
Iconic name. So it.
I feel like all the Halo
memorable.
ships that actually get focused on
Spirit of Fire, Pillar of Autumn.
Yeah, the Forward Unto Dawn, Pillar of Autumn, and the Spirit of Fire. Really cool ships.
So right off the bat, the game got my attention because the opening cutscene is there's like a battle going on above Harvest.
Can I say one more thing, actually? Because this is actually why I brought up the game history thing. Apparently, like, there was some interviews or something from, like, the people years later that made the game. And they're like, yeah, that 7 Years of Hell thing actually was supposed to reference the development.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. His opening line.
Yeah.
That 7 Years of Hell thing that they're talking about is how long the war... Cycle. Well, yeah, that. And then how long the war was actually going on Harvest, which is one of the human planets that the Covenant invaded. The first human planet that they invaded.
Well, of the inner colonies.
Yeah. And so, what was that? Oh, in the beginning, Cutter name drops like 3 huge ships that everybody knows. He name drops the Pillar of Autumn, saying it's incapacitated or something. He name drops, it might be the Forward Unto Dawn. I know the name, but I forget which ship it was. And then another one that was destroyed that I didn't know the name. But right away, I was like, oh crap, Pillar of Autumn. I know that.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like into
One thing this game does a good job of is if you know the games, like the other games from the main franchise, they reference it. But then if you don't know it, like if Halo Wars is your first Halo encounter, you're not completely lost. Like they do a good job explaining.
Yeah, I agree. It's like good Easter eggs without it being like confusing to if you don't know. Mm-hmm. But it's also enough to where you're like, yes.
Yeah, and then if you know everything and you don't get re-explained stuff, you know.
Yeah. So the Spirit of Fire was sent back to Harvest because the Covenant has pretty much destroyed the whole planet and it's basically lost, and they're going back to reclaim it. And there's something there that I guess ONI, the Office of Naval Intelligence, has said that is on Harvest that they need to investigate. So they send down a ground team. And you're introduced to Sergeant Forge, John Forge, another John in the franchise. He's basically like the leader of the Marine force down there, and basically a badass. You find that out pretty quick.
Man, that's one thing that about this game. It's so like it definitely follows the formula. They got the Johnson, the Chief, the Cortana, the Keys.
Yeah.
You're introduced to the ship's AI, Serena. She's cool. And I forgot how funny she is. She's like super sarcastic and has like a bunch of like clever little like witty one-liners.
Yeah, hers are good. They actually are funny. She's just like an asshole.
They made me chuckle a couple times.
Yeah, I did chuckle a few times from some of the things she said. And you're introduced to the other main character, Professor Anders, who is basically the ship's like big brain and scientist who like comes up with solutions to all their problems, pretty much.
And she's purdy.
Well, you can think that.
Okay.
And so you're sent down to the ground on Harvest, and your first mission that you get into is called Alpha Base.
You gotta regroup.
It's basically like pretty simple. It's just teaching you how to command troops and how to direct people. So it takes you like 5 minutes. But basically the concept is you're Forge and you're regrouping all the troops from Alpha Base to try and take it back. So that's basically how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
Gather up your Marines
basically
and your forces. And then,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically. And then that's about it. You move in, and I think you capture it in that same mission.
Yeah, you do. Right? Once you take the base, you get to like the next level where
So you knock out your tutorial level, and then the next one is called Relic Approach. So that thing that they were talking about that is on Harvest.
You need to go investigate.
Yeah, it turns out that the Covenant also found it, and they are also there investigating it.
That's true.
So you get your first like base together, also kind of like a little bit of a tutorial. You have to train troops, gather like a force, and then move into like a certain position on the map and go and search the relic, which is like some big forerunner like cave or like
you basically need to just force your way in. The cool thing though is this is actually, I think, at least for the people we're seeing, the first known interaction with like forerunner stuff. So they're like, that's weird, that's not Covenant.
Yeah, I think that you are right about that. I wasn't sure, but I think you are right.
I mean, it's possible Oni knows about stuff, but at least the general UNSC doesn't.
Yeah, our Spirit of Fire crew definitely was not sure of what it was, and they still didn't know what it did. So they were going in blind, pretty much. So basically, you force your way into that forerunner structure, kill a bunch of Covenant, and then another cutscene plays, and Anders is kind of like trying to like messing with the thing, and all of a sudden she activates it because forerunner tech is only activated by humans, and we've seen that before in other Halo games with like the indexes and how they activate the arrays and the rings and all that stuff. So
pretty
that
much
holds
everything.
So that little bit holds, and then
they're ambushed.
They're ambushed, and they're pinned down. Forge and Anders are pinned down inside
then you get introduced to the most badass vehicle in this game.
Yes. You get introduced. You don't have any troops, and you need to find a way to get in there. And so the Spirit of Fire sends you 2 Grizzlies, which are basically Forge's modified Scorpion tanks.
They're awesome.
Things are awesome.
I want them.
Yeah, they basically just single-handedly bust your way back through the same thing that you already wanted.
I'm so sad that like when you play these games, you see all these cool vehicles, and you're like, I want them in like a mainline game.
Yeah, seeing a Grizzly in a real mainline game would be pretty cool. But basically, you use the Grizzlies to get back to Forge.
And then you pull them out.
And Anders, and then you get them out of there. And you get evacuated by a Pelican. And Anders says that the relic showed her like some kind of a map. And it led to something.
Yeah,
Where
so
did it lead?
I'll tell you in a second. But during this time between Relic Approach, like before you head in there, there's a cutscene showing the Arbiter and the Prophet.
Oh, yes. And this is not the Arbiter that we know from Halo 2. This is a different Arbiter.
Yeah, the previous
the one
Arbiter.
before Thel 'Vadamee, which is the Arbiter that we all know.
Just saying, guys. How'd they get that armor back? Just wondering. But anyways.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Maybe they do.
That cutscene is a cool
scout
one.
Team.
Yeah. That cutscene's a cool one, though, because you're introduced to
Mercy?
the old Arbiter, and then, yes. Is it Mercy or Regret? I think it's Regret.
Yeah, sorry. It's Regret before he's old.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we get introduced to a younger Regret, still as obnoxious and arrogant as ever. And he lets on that he knows something that the rest of the Covenant shouldn't know. And I think it is that the humans have some kind of connection to the Forerunner stuff, so he just wants them all murdered.
Well,
because then it would like basically upend their entire religion.
So I don't know if this was the case at this point in time, because this was like 2008 or something. But basically the whole like reason behind the Human Covenant War was that the prophets found out that the humans were like the inheritors of all the Forerunner stuff, and they were pissed off, so they just wanted to kill them.
Yeah, it was actually a mistranslation.
Yeah, but eventually they found out that the humans were like the ones that would technically supposed to be leading the Covenant in like the way the prophets have set it up. And that's why, like, originally they were going to have the humans join the Covenant, but then they didn't want them because they found out that they were basically awesome.
They were the ones in charge.
So then they lied to, elites, brutes, grunts, jackals, everyone about the humans.
Yeah. And
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
The prophets call for the entire extermination of the like whole human race. And the Arbiter actually makes like a comment about that. He's like saying, you guys tasked me to destroy all of humanity, but yet you keep having me search empty relics or empty ruins or something like that.
I wish we would have got to see why he became the Arbiter, because they mentioned that he was like disgraced in some way, which all Arbiters are, but I wonder like what it was. Because he did not seem like an honorable elite like most elites, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, he was kind of a dick. But I don't know. But anyway, the map, I remember where it showed Anders now.
Yeah, well...
It showed Anders to another system in the galaxy.
Yeah, it literally just pointed to a different planet, which happens to be a human planet.
Yeah, the planet of Arcadia. Or maybe that's the city, I don't know.
The city is Arcadia,
but,
I think.
Yeah, so you get pointed to a planet with a city, and the Covenant know about it too, so it's a race there. You both get there.
What's cool though is there's like this scene between Anders and Cutter because they have orders to like stay, and because they've just got Harvest back, they're just like cleaning up what's left on the planet. And their orders are to like stay at Harvest, and Anders is like, hey, this seems pretty important.
Yeah, that's true. And then they have like this like quick little moment where they're like, we need to decide now because the Covenant ship is leaving or something, and so then they decided like the last second to jump and follow it and go to the place that the map pointed to. To the worst, hardest, most troll level of the whole game. This level sucks. So this level is Arcadia
City. Trying to evacuate those people. Oh my god.
I remembered this
was the level that...
I remembered this being hard the first time I played it on like normal. And now I come back, 10 years later, and I'm like, I'm going to do it on Legendary. I died on this level like 20 times. It took me so long. And then you have that very long, like, cinematic, unskippable section at the beginning that's so annoying.
Yeah.
And you play like 30 minutes and then die, and you're like, no, not again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the level that was pissing me off.
Yeah, this is actually one of the levels that I did not die on. It's not one of the two, surprisingly.
I got it first try,
but on normal.
Only the civilians
I just restarted before I failed.
Well, I mean, I never died. Just all the evac ships died.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the concept behind this level is you're on this... I still am not sure why the map pointed them to this place. Like, what was the point? Do you remember?
Isn't there a teleporter or something?
Yeah, because they have like that big dome on Arcadia covering the thing that they use to get out of there.
Oh, yes. There was some... Yeah, you're right.
Some Forerunner thing.
Yeah, some big Forerunner
That's
thing
like
was
2
discovered
levels
there.
from now.
Yeah. So anyway, this mission, we've kind of already talked about it, but basically there is a bunch of Covenant that are invading this city, and there's a bunch of civilians that were unaware and not ready for this, so the Spirit of Fire is tasked with getting them all out, and just so happens that there are a huge team of Spartans on the ground at Arcadia already.
They helped so much.
This level might be the most frustrating gameplay wise, but it was super cool story wise to see like the people getting slaughtered, the Spartans fighting, like this actual war going on.
It felt pretty cool to like command your army to like protect the citizens and like station them along.
And this is also the first time up to this point in Halo's history that you're seeing more Spartans than just Chief, which is really... I remember seeing this game when it came out. Like, I played it when it was pretty new, and I was like, holy shit, more Spartans. That on its own is, like, badass.
I know, because at this point...
Chief is a badass. Now imagine Chief, like, times 12.
Yeah, and at this point, like, if you go back, however long it's been, 14 years, we didn't really know if there was other Spartans. Like, there was, like, stuff outside of the mainline games that hinted at them,
a lot of
whatever.
A lot of, like, Halo lore at the time was, like, myth and rumors, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, so to see other Spartans, and then they're just like you would expect them to be. They're all freaking badasses. As soon as they show up on the field,
they play the Halo song.
Yeah. And the music hits, and then the Spartans come across your like camera that's laying on the ground, and you can just tell like the entire fight has just changed.
That's actually why Cutter goes. He wasn't gonna go, and then he sees the Spartans.
Yeah, oh yeah. I remember that. He was like, the AI got the video feed and he saw the Spartans on the ground. He was like, we're going.
Yes, the Spartans inspired him to go. Because when the Spartans are on the ground, you have a chance.
Yeah, he's like, I guess it's not hopeless there. And also probably he's thinking, if there's Spartans here, it must be pretty important whatever's going on.
Yeah, that was one thing I wanted to know. I was like, why were these Spartans already here and who sent them there? Maybe there was two teams of Spartans. There was Red Team and then another team that you see later.
I'm not sure, actually.
Because that's what I was thinking. I was like,
happened to been there?
Yeah, I'm like, there's no way they were just sitting there hanging out. They were sent there for something. They knew Oni or somebody knew and sent them there.
Maybe they called the head and was like, hey, the Covenant are going to attack this planet. So then they just rushed groups over.
Well, what it probably is this is the early stages of the war, one of the first 2 areas invaded by the Covenant, so that would require a Spartan response, I would think.
Yeah, that's also true.
And it would make sense that you would have Spartans in the area if it's towards the front of the war.
In basically any ground operation with, like, as far as, like, Covenant invading, Spartans were, like, there, so. Because that was, like, the only time the UNSC could ever get, like, an upper hand was ground combat.
Yeah.
But anyway, you defend these 3 evacuation ships that are boarding civilians.
The one in the bottom always exploded.
That one's guaranteed. Even if you protect it, it will explode.
Yeah, so you have to survive like 20 minutes.
No, really, your only hope is that the Spartans hold them off on the top one long enough for you to only need to defend one of them for a little bit of time.
Yeah, that was my strat. I only had one left, and then I just spammed like the healing thing on it.
I had a ton of Hornets because that's what I did.
Yeah, I trained Hornets and
the Hornets were smart because they can fly across that gap pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's why I did it.
I didn't think of that. I was using tanks.
Yeah, but so eventually your timer runs out, and as long as the ships are alive, then they take off. And then
most frustrating thing ever. Like, that's Halo 2 levels of difficulty, that level.
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
But so then you're tasked with your next objective, which is to like evacuate the city.
This was a fun
one. Now you got to get your army out of the city now that the civilians are out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it like picks up right from where you left off, basically.
But you actually get to control the Spartans now. You didn't in the last level.
Yeah, they kind of just did their own thing. But so now you're teamed up with the Spartans and Forge and whatever troops you have left, and you're introduced to the Spartans. I don't know if they tell you their names at this moment. But you learn them.
Yeah, eventually. I don't remember when.
Yeah, but it's Red Team, which is another group of Spartans that have trained together, and their story and their lore has gotten like more fleshed out, like as the years have gone on, and they've just become beloved characters within the franchise.
Like the first Halo book explains the Spartan program.
Yeah, but Red Team is freaking awesome.
Red Team was actually failed their augmentation process. So like after they were kidnapped and everything and trained and all of that, once they did like the augmentations, they were like crippled, but eventually they like worked their way back and were able to heal, and then they were augmented again, and it was successful the second time.
Yeah, it's pretty
absolute
awesome.
chads.
And
that's not a nice
days,
process.
They're probably the honestly, they probably are the second most liked Spartan team, because Blue Team was so terrible in Halo 5. I would say the only one that, like, if you just played the games, the only one people would like more is Noble Team.
Yeah, I think Noble Team would be the top one, just for how they were represented in the game.
Blue Team
should all the outside lore and stuff.
Blue Team should be number one, but their game was so bad that, like...
Yeah. But anyway, Red Team consists of Jerome, who he's the leader, Alice, and Douglas is the name of the Spartans. And their armor is so badass. It's like the Gen 1 Mjolnir. It doesn't, technically in lore, it doesn't have shields at this point. They haven't figured that out.
Yeah.
But they're awesome. They look cool. They're badass and everything. And combat-wise, like gameplay-wise,
they are also
badass.
honestly.
They're cool. You can send them to take over vehicles.
Yeah, there was a level, I don't remember which one it was, but there was a level where I lost every single unit except a Spartan, and it was like when you don't have a base and you're trying to get somewhere to build a base, and I just had to like aggressively focus on like playing him to get him to like take vehicles and get me to this freaking place. I was like, holy shit. I think it was this level, actually, that like I got to the end of it with only the Spartans.
Proof that Spartans can change the tide of battle.
They really do. They really do. The name of this mission was Arcadia Outskirts, and basically you retreat to like this corner of the map.
Like
it's
a
like
crater.
This little crater. You build a little base and
you hold out,
like,
waiting for help.
I was so confused. I was like, is my game glitched or something? Because it gave me no direction. And I'm just sitting there waiting, taking on wave after wave. And I was like, I guess I'm just supposed to wait. And so then eventually, finally...
If you listen to the dialogue, they say.
Yeah, after I've been just demolished over and over and had to rebuild my army, they're like, we're sending you some support. And then it was another like badass moment where they're like, we're sending Spartan Team Omega.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the team that I was like, who are these guys? And I wanted to look up who they were.
I almost got destroyed on that level. Like, I literally finished that level with, like, barely any units left.
All I had was Spartans left at the end. But, oh my god, the way that they came in was so hard. Like, they show up, it's like 6 of them. So you have you have them, and then your 3 of Red Team. And so, like, right when they got there, I just pushed and destroyed, like, the final base.
Yeah, it really turned the tide.
It was so badass.
I was trying so hard to push out of my little crater for, like, that whole time that you're defending, and I could not get further than like the first or second of like those little bunker things you can take over, and then they'd push me back.
Yeah, me too. I could not get back.
I could not get out.
I would just get destroyed.
Then they brought the Spartans in, and we just like steamrolled down the line and won.
Yeah, that was a cool one. That was probably one of my favorite moments of the game when Spartan Team Omega showed up.
What is the one where you can use the highway to go behind them?
That's this one. That's this one.
That one? Yeah, that's what I did. It was fun.
Yeah, I would say
once the Spartan showed up, I went straight up the middle.
I would say that this is the first good level. The other games, the other levels, one of them is bad. 2 of them are mid. The rest are mid. 2 are mid and one's a tutorial. But this is the first like good one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so.
I enjoyed this level.
Yeah, I had fun with this one too.
And it was like the right amount of challenging. I was like on the back foot until the Spartans came. It was like literally if it was like 1% harder, I probably would have lost. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. That one was fun. Okay. So then eventually you survive long enough and you evacuate back to the Spirit of Fire and you regroup. And then Cutter and Anders have like a conversation on the ship. about Anders needing to get to the ground to like research this Covenant dome and figure out what the Covenant are hiding behind it, and so she needs to be on the ground to do it. And Forge doesn't want her to go down there because he thinks it's too dangerous, but
he's right.
Hunter sends her anyway. Yeah,
Forge is always right. I don't know why they don't listen to him more.
Yeah.
That's another character who's very useful in the game. Forge, when he has the Goss Hog, super helpful.
Oh, yeah. I always tried to keep the Goss Hog alive.
I made sure to give it to him.
Yeah. So then this mission is basically
the Covenant,
like this.
Well, basically,
actually, you do it.
Yeah. So from the point of view of the humans, the Covenant have like put up this massive shield around something that we don't know what it is, and they're doing something inside. So we're like, well, we should probably check out what is going on in there. So in this mission, you use like these plasma rhinos, I think they're called, that are supposed to be efficient at taking down this massive shield. This is probably the second most frustrating mission to me, honestly.
This was the mission that I died on.
This shit was so annoying.
Yeah, it was tedious, I felt.
I forget why. I was missing something that I needed, and it was impossible to get it, so I just died. Like, the game just wouldn't end, so I had to end the level.
Well, because what you need to do on this level is you need to set up 4 rhinos and keep them all alive, and then have them all shoot at the same time to like break a section of the shield, which it's not that hard to get them into position, but then you need to leave units there to keep them alive, and then you need to take the other 3 locations at the same time, your army getting smaller each time.
Yeah, you're dividing your forces.
Yeah, that part... Yeah,
and on top of that, there's like a huge amount of drop ships that drop troops like on your base the whole time, so you're like getting bodied on your base too.
That was so difficult. I really, whenever I had to push to get a rhino in a new spot, that's when it always set me back, and it took me a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I died on this one, but it took me a long time.
Yeah, I died. But eventually you get... This was actually one of the levels where there's this ability, and I don't know if it's in Halo Wars 2. I don't think it is. But the Pelican transport thing.
Some characters have it.
That was pretty fun.
That was actually so useful. I used that throughout the campaign so much, and it actually is really helpful.
Yeah.
Basically, you just call in a Pelican to take a big chunk of your army and move them quickly across the map.
Yeah, it depends on the character. I think Cutter has it actually in Halo Wars 2.
Okay, yeah, that should change like the whole game for me. That was cool. But yeah, you get the rhinos into position, they fire, and they open a section of the barrier, and then that's the end of that level.
Well, then you get to do like some Mac blasts on some bases.
That was pretty fun.
Oh yeah, you get like unlimited Mac blasts. You had like 70 something Mac blasts, and you just fire out like crazy.
So
this is this.
Cool.
Oh man, this is actually I died in this next level. Is actually the other one I died in, and this was the most annoying level to me.
Really? I thought this is where the game started to pick up.
It does pick up, but this level was just annoying. I think
this one took me a while.
I just struggled with it. But mission 7 is called Scarab, so gather what you will from that. But basically, there is a partially built Scarab where like only the head is working, and the entire goal of the mission, you're like down in the crater, is to destroy the Scarab. So that way you can like move the rest of the troops in and like actually see what's in there.
Yeah.
But this Scarab's head just like has a beam, and it will disintegrate any troop that like it sees. So you have to like go around the map and destroy these like power nodes, and then the head starts to move slower and slower. If you destroy them all, it moves really slow. But this is when moving troops was so annoying, because I would try to move them, and then they'd all be in each other's way, and then they would be super slow, and I misjudged how long it was going to take them because they're running into each other, and my entire army would be disintegrated.
Yeah, I didn't have that problem.
Made me remember.
And then I freaking died because the Scarab, like, for some reason, I think it was glitched, because it only shot at the thing in front of my base, and it would not stop shooting at it. So it just disintegrated it in like 3 minutes.
That almost happened to me. It broke a lot of the thing in front of my base, and then luckily I killed it before it actually got to my real base, though.
Yeah, it's a cool concept, and I think it could work, but I just think like mechanically it just didn't, for me at least, for whatever reason.
I think like the AI probably messed up with the tracking.
Yeah. One thing though,
like moving between cover to
and
avoid the beam
selection.
Like it was fun, but I could never do it right.
Mm-hmm.
It was a cool concept too for a level. Like you have to destroy this thing before it destroys your base.
Yeah, I feel like actually from this point forward, with some exceptions, the levels actually have like pretty unique objectives. At least the majority of them.
Yeah.
Like the plasma rhino thing was unique. The scarab is unique.
Yeah, it becomes more of it stops being a survive objective or a evacuate the civilians, like more military. It becomes more unique.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you take out the scarab. Anders comes down. She's looking at like this Forerunner stuff, and she's like, "Wow, that's pretty interesting." And then turns out Forge was right, and she's kidnapped.
Yeah, turns out the Arbiter is there, camouflaged, and he takes her hostage because the Prophets, in a previous cutscene, I think that we forgot, told
Yeah, there was a previous cutscene where the Prophet and the Arbiter were talking, and they were like, "This human scientist woman knows
how to operate.
They need her to open the ship,
stuff.
basically."
Yeah.
So they kidnap her, and then this is another really cool scene. Forge is like emergency evac to the Spirit of Fire because they need to like decide what they're going to do. Do they stay and research whatever's going on here and just get rid of the rest of the Covenant, or do they follow Anders because she has like some kind of beacon,
and the Spartans come with him.
Yeah, so Red Team is on the ship with them, and Forge is like, "We gotta go now. Like Anders is kidnapped. Let's go." And Cutter's like, "I don't know if we can afford to do that right now." And then Jerome comes in at the end, and he's like, "Anders represents a significant security breach. I would recommend that we go." And so then Cutter's like, "All right, we're going." It was funny.
Yo,
and I think this is one of the times that Serena has like some smart comment too. Like, okay, or she says something like, "Okay, let's follow the ship to this place that we have no idea where it is."
The one that I remember the most, that was the funniest, is at the end when I'll tell you when we get there. But the last one where like Cutters is telling her the plan.
I know what you're talking about. That's a good one. But yeah, so Jerome kind of like sparks it in Cutter to go, and so they decide to go.
Everyone's just convincing Cutter.
Yeah, and so the next mission is
We're
Anders.
a captain of a ship. He gets told what to do a lot.
Yeah. So next mission's called Anders Signal, and
track Anders Signal, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. But this level is super fun, and it has a super cool intro for the first time in this game to the Flood. This is where the Flood shows up.
And the elephants.
Yes, and the elephants. So you're sent down to this planet.
This level was fun.
I liked this level.
Already right away, it's obvious.
Yeah, as a player.
Halo, like,
what also is cool, though, first universe interaction with the Flood. Way before Chief and Johnson ever did.
Yes, way before any of that, because this is still 25 years before all of that happened. So this is actually humanity's first interaction with the Flood. And it goes pretty poorly, like you would expect. There's these two three elephants, something like that.
Yeah.
I think, yeah,
you're one, there's two other ones.
But you can control
Yeah, so over the comms, you hear each pelican.
This part was kind of scary.
Yeah,
like,
it was.
considering,
though.
No, I know. I love how they do the Flood in this.
Each elephant like comes over the comms and they're like, "We're encountering something. It's not Covenant," and then they just like scream a bloody death. And so then you're tasked with going to retrieve them and like see what happened. And then when you get there, you have to fight a ton of Flood. And it's
just for context, what elephants are is you can park them and you're able to train troops.
Yeah, they're like they're like
movable
mobile
command
bases.
centers.
You can't upgrade things in them, but you can train them.
It's like a portable barrack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, infantry is not really what you want to use against the Flood.
Oh man,
I use the flamethrower dudes.
They're the best of the infantry, but I mean, just
those spore clouds though. Those things.
Not using infantry against the Flood is a big help because you don't just create more units to fight every time you die.
That's true too.
Yeah, I experienced that.
I had a problem where my army would just sit AFK, but then one of them would die from just something random, and then like I would have an outbreak.
Yeah.
Nice.
But you recover the lost elephants, and then you bring them all back to a base, and I think that's how the mission ends.
Yeah, I mean, you hold out against a couple waves of flood.
Yeah, you have to go to each one and destroy like the flood spores on them.
Yeah, well, that's how you get all the elephants.
Yeah, and you free them.
And then once they're free, you group up, and then I think the level ends.
Yeah, then
you have to go to like a base location.
Yeah. Then the next level is the flood. So more flood. You get a call from Red Team. They're like behind enemy lines and trying to fight off the flood, and like they're being badasses.
They need reinforcements.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And you're just like stuck with an elephant. That's like the only way you can train stuff, and it takes forever to just overcome this huge force of Covenant sitting on like these.
At this point, you have a base.
Oh,
a
do you?
base. Yeah,
I didn't think you did.
You have a base.
Oh yeah,
in this
you're right.
level.
You do.
This is the one where you need to save the three different units on the other side, right?
No. That's I think that's the next one.
Oh.
No. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, that's the next one.
Then I don't know what we're talking about.
This is the one. I don't remember. It's literally just get to Red Team is literally the mission.
Oh,
you have a base in the bottom corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And so you're just like in this flood environment, training up your troops and trying to make a push towards Red Team. And then in the process of doing that, you find out that there's like these huge flood like bases that are like...
Yeah, it's your like first time seeing flood bases and tentacles and stuff. It's pretty cool. It's all right.
Yeah.
They're annoying.
It's basically just get Blue Team, bring them back, and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Not Blue Team, Red Team.
Simple. Yeah. One cool thing, though, there's like the final flood like super base, and if you took out the other like mini bases, it weakens it a lot, which is like super helpful. That was a cool touch. I did like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, but then that's basically it. Then you're done with that level, and then the next level is the one that you were thinking of, Sebastian.
This one was hard.
Yeah, it's called Shield World.
Now, is this the one where your base is the unique one?
This is the one where you can use gremlins to extend your time, right?
Yeah, that's this one. But for context, like, so everybody needs to be evacuated because the Spirit of Fire is currently being pulled into the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So it turns out that's why it's called Shield World. Turns out that the entire planet is a Forerunner like creation, and it has like an ecosystem and an environment inside of itself. So on the outside there was all that flood, and then on the inside there's this Shield World where
so Serena and Cutter are just trying to hold the ship steady while Forge and Red Team evacuate everyone. This level was hard as shit though. Like that middle base was so hard to get past because you have to like take out the 3 bases and then save the groups on the other side.
Yeah, this is the mission that I did die on. I ran out of time.
Yeah, that happened to me too. Only once, but like the time is so long that like you spend like 30-40 minutes just to run out of time, and you're like, oh my god, now I gotta go again.
I know. Like,
that's probably the most annoying thing about this game is that the failures are the most brutal failures because of how much time you spent.
Yeah, I agree. This one was really hard for me, and it's actually Red Team too. Again, that is like trapped. They're the last ones that you get to.
Yeah, and I remember barely making it. Like I had them running with a huge army of flood behind them just to get to my base so the turrets would like hold some off.
Yeah, so you fight your way to 3 different companies like Alpha, Charlie, and Bravo, and one of them has Red Team. It's the last one. And each time you get one of them, you receive like a like buffed up unit that is like super helpful.
Yeah,
so,
but
like,
I lost them instantly.
Yeah.
But
then you get all 3 and you retreat back to your base and get evacuated by pelicans. And
what did happen to me though?
Spirit of Fire.
There was so many times I almost ran out of time that I would just make a gremlin and I would just send it off. I'd make like 4 of them and I'd just send all of them, hoping one would make it to one of the things so I could get more time.
Yeah, I had to do that too. But yeah, so you get everybody out and you get back to the Spirit of Fire. And then there's the cool cutscene of like the Spirit of Fire like navigating its way
through
the inside of the planet.
Yeah, very cool.
This is where Cutter like ends up being pretty cool.
This part here,
it's where he
I feel like from
captain.
here forward, every level is a banger. Like not even just some are
this
good.
next level, I struggled with.
I loved the rest of these levels. These were all so fun.
I had such a hard time. He's like, I don't know. Explain the level and I'll.
So
yeah, this one's called Cleansing.
Yeah, you're like going through basically like a decontamination thing of the planet with the Spirit of Fire, and you're fighting like on top of it, which is pretty awesome already.
Yeah. So you caught like because there's flood on the exterior of the ship.
I loved this mechanic.
And what are the Sentinels?
Yeah,
it's the Sentinels.
Don't want. Like, obviously, they don't want the flood to get into the shield world. So they're they're trying to remove the flood from, like, the whole of the ship.
Yeah, and it's cool because you fight these flood pod things that produce units and stuff like that. And you put them into, like, basically their down type of mode. And then you want to get, like, a bunch of them down. Because, like, every so often, these, like, cleansing beams come across. And if they're, like, in down mode, that you've like taken them out, the cleansing beam will take them off permanently. Otherwise, they regen. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, that is a cool mechanic.
That's where my problem came in, because I would break them, and then like I would take my troops away because I'd be afraid of like the beam coming. So I would bunker them all. But then like one or two would respawn and then spread again.
That was another cool thing. Yeah, like running my troops to the bunkers last second was so fun.
Yeah, because the troops would also be destroyed by the cleaning beam thing. I got screwed though because the thing that produces the air units was destroyed like instantly.
Oh, that sucks, and they're the most useful one.
Oh man, so to get the ones on the side of the ship, I just had to hope that Sentinels went over there and killed them. I almost reset the game, and then I heard somebody come over the comms and they're like, I think it's Serena, we're sending you 2 vultures. I was like, oh my, thank goodness. There's like 2
everyone
little...
It's almost like they knew.
Yeah, everything was destroyed. Everything. Except for these 2 on the side of the ship that I couldn't kill because I didn't have the air units.
That's funny.
And I was like, I don't have to restart.
I loved this level though. I think that mechanic was so cool. And like having to defend your airlocks since it wasn't like an actual base was pretty cool.
And it was cool setting up your turrets. Or your turrets on the side.
Those did help. So then you get the ship cleaned, and then the Covenant
the engine.
The Covenant start an attack and actually destroy the ship's engine. And so you're moved to the next mission called Repairs. It's basically just you build some Cyclopses because they have the ability to repair
Cyclops.
stuff. Yeah. And you just wait for them to slowly heal this like power core, and you just have to defend them and like the rest of the ship while you're being attacked.
Yeah, it's the same like sort of level as the last one.
You're on top of the ship. The top of the ship.
But you get Anders special units in this one.
Yeah, that's true.
And those things are awesome. I love them. What are they called? Someone remind me.
They're like Hawks or something like that.
Yeah, I think they are Falcons. Hawks. But those things are so good. I love them.
Yeah, I did like those. I just had an army of them flying around.
Yeah, I had a ton of those and a ton of Cyclopses, and that's what I did.
Me too. Yeah, I flew through that one. I repaired it pretty quick. So then that level's quick. I forget
that's
how fast that goes.
Yeah, you're just repairing and then it ends once the thing gets done.
Yeah. Then we get another cutscene. And the Covenant still have Anders at this point. She's inside the shield world also. And they force her to like activate the Forerunner tech there, and then it's revealed that it is a like huge, like massive, like landscape of Forerunner ships. Like it's just an armada of ships. And so Regret and the Arbiter are going to use those to like help
destroy
them finish
the humans.
Yeah, basically destroy the humans and finish the war. It'll like completely turn the tide in their favor and give the humans no shot. And Anders knows this, and then she sneaks away while they're all like oohing and awing over this armada and teleports herself to the ground.
And that's when Forge, who is already on the ground, just because they were like searching for her, starts getting like a ping from her beacon again finally.
Yeah, and so he goes to that, and Anders.
That's like the whole. That's like the whole mission. You have to go to her and then evacuate her.
Yeah, it's super fast. It's one of the fastest missions.
What? No, it's not. After you get to her, you have to go and like establish a. Sorry.
No, yeah, then you do that like the next. But this one, I was like, wow, that was super quick. You just go from a beacon to another beacon, and then you're good. Because she gets taken away, and then it moves you to the next level. Because she goes to the ship and tells Cutter everything that's going on.
And then they form the exact same plan that Chief and Cortana had in Halo 1.
Oh, yeah.
Which is also the exact same plan that Noble Team has in Halo Reach.
It does work. It's an effective plan, I guess.
What does Cortana say? She says it's not a very original, but it works. She says that in Halo 3, I think. Or Halo 2, I mean.
Funny.
Yep. So you get Anders back to the ship, and then the next mission starts. It's called Reactor.
By the way, that plan is to take the Spirit of Fire's slip space drive and use it to blow up this thing that they're on.
As a bomb.
Well, to start a chain reaction of the planet's sun. So it's a little different. And the sun is inside the planet.
In the center of the planet.
So it'll blow up the whole planet.
Yeah.
Destroying the Flood in the process. And the Covenant that are there.
Oh, we did forget one part. You have to go from like Covenant base to Covenant base and like destroy them to secure the area. That's the part we were forgetting. So you were right, the mission does not end.
I thought so.
Yeah, so Anders is like, secure this area, Sergeant. And he's like, securing is like my middle name, or he says something.
Oh, yeah, stupid. And then it's like, you need this area that happens to have a Covenant base on it.
Yeah, that is funny.
So you just go around, and this part's pretty fun because this is like the one time where you're in a mission long enough to like fully train up a lot of troops. So like I had ODSTs.
And at this point, you actually have
everything.
Things unlocked. It's not like the earlier levels where some things are restricted.
Yeah, you're pretty much free to do what you want.
Yeah.
So I was dropping like crazy numbers of ODSTs.
I love
they're so overpowered
making the ODST.
Yeah, that was my go-to for everything. They are so overpowered. And you can drop them at any time.
Yeah.
And you just drop like as many as you want.
It's awesome. So then after they've developed that plan, they then bring the slip space drive to the ground. And they're like, get it to this elevator. You're like, okay, we just got to get this to this elevator. And I like this mission, actually. You have to like drag it up with an elephant up these ramps. But if your elephant dies, it like slides down the ramps.
Yeah, and like at each choke point on the ramps, there's like a Covenant base that you need to take out.
Yeah, this was a good level. I really liked this one.
Yeah. One of my elephants did die. Not on a ramp, but it did die. And then I always had one in backup just in case that happened. And then I got to
I would just secure the next ramp before moving the elephant
forward. I liked
it
because it was like one of the few times that I actually felt a need to upgrade the elephant and get like the ceramic plating.
Yeah, the guns on it. And
yeah,
stuff.
That was the only time I did it.
I liked that. I like leveling up your base and your troops and stuff. That's one of my favorite things of the game.
This is something actually about
like it's super satisfying
the first one
to
compared to the second one. I feel like the first one has cooler upgrades, like they're more visible, whereas the second one it's just like stat changes. You know what I mean? Yeah, like when you upgrade something, it like goes from a normal warhog to
the
a
reactor
goshawk.
gets two. The reactor gets two.
I'm
things.
talking about the units, right?
Gets 2 pads. Yeah, and that's
some units get different abilities, like Marines to rockets or something like that.
Yeah, from grenades
and then
to
the
rockets.
medic.
Whereas like in the second one, the medic too, new blood. Like they just feel more impactful. Whereas in like Halo Wars 2, I feel like most of the time the upgrades just feel like I guess they're better. Their stats are better now, but it's not like as visible.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I did notice that.
Like you see like a visual, there's a difference in squad numbers.
Or something happening. Like you see, the medic's doing his thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can see them heal, or when you tell them to fire their rockets, you see them stop, put their guns away, and then pull out RPGs.
Mm-hmm. And you just see 1,000 rockets fly through.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It is cool.
Yeah, that's fun. But yeah, so you get that reactor up to...
Well, one thing actually that I just remembered, on the last level, I'm pretty sure you get to steal a scarab.
You do. They left the keys in the ignition.
Yeah, we forgot to say that. So you get a scarab. That's pretty cool.
I never knew this. What? I didn't see a scarab.
That's the
you get a scarab.
That's Beachhead, I'm pretty sure. I
never got it.
Well,
they make a comment and they show it to
Forge
you.
is like, let's hope they left the keys in the ignition. They don't actually, but you can
have
use
to go
a
up and get
Spartan
it
to take it over.
They
I
don't
think
give it to
I
you.
probably
You have
just
to go and
destroyed
get
them.
it.
Oh,
I think I just destroyed them.
I took them. They were awesome.
Yeah, it was,
that would have made that much faster and easier.
Anyways, though, so this reactor, you get it to the top. It's fun. It's a good time. Then when you get to the top...
that is a good one.
I'm not going to lie, guys. This has got to be a top 3 Halo cutscene, this one.
I think so, too.
Is this when they do the
bridge? It's the bridge one.
No, this is the bridge with Forge and the Spartans.
Yeah. This is a good one.
So Forge and Red Team get the reactor into position. They're like setting it up and setting the timer so that they can...
Then you see something
this part
cloaked.
was sad.
Yeah, and then you see something cloaked. And
no.
The engineer that's working on the timer gets killed. It turns out it's the Arbiter. And then you see a bunch of like honor guards filing down this bridge. Yeah. And Forge says like this badass line. He's like, handle those elites. This one's mine.
I got it. Yeah.
Because there was
pulls out his knife.
When he took Anders, that him and Forge had fought earlier. And the reason he ended up getting Anders was because Anders was like, hey, don't kill Forge, I'll just go with you. So they kind of had like an unfinished fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forge made the comment of like, you're lucky the lady was there, like, or something. And
to stop me.
And then the Arbiter's like, you're lucky the female was there to stop me from killing you.
Yeah, so then they have... this is... What's cool about this is both fights are badass. The Spartans fight and Forge is against the Arbiter.
Yeah, so Forge is getting his ass beat by the Arbiter for a little bit. And then you cut to the Spartans on the bridge. And they're just
massacring.
Silent. Yeah, they don't say anything.
They are literally
like a well-oiled... They're a machine.
They're literally those memes where people are like chief in the books and they do some crazy stunt in the games. This is that in a cutscene.
Yeah.
Yes. So Jerome just has a shotgun and he's just blowing heads off.
One of them grabs one of the honor guards' poles.
Yeah, Alice and Douglas grab and just like SMGs and just start flipping over elites and shooting them. If you notice,
the acrobatics.
I don't know if you guys noticed this, but if you notice the way that the Spartans shoot compared to like Forge always shoots the Arbiter in its armor. And I was like, how come the Arbiter never dies, but then these Spartans are killing all the elites? But if you look and watch, because I watched the cutscene over again, like multiple times.
They aim for the head?
They go for the
shoot
parts
right
between.
in the neck, in between the armor. And that's always where they shoot them. Always. I was like, wow, that's actually such a cool attention to detail that I love.
It's just so...
And they would have the ability to have... Like, they would have the accuracy to aim there,
they
too.
would have way, like, the precision to always hit their mark and everything. Like, that's just how they are.
It's just such a... it's definitely one of the best combat scenes in Halo. The way they flip over them and they, like, stab them.
I think this also does a really good job of just showing the sheer difference in strength between a normal Marine and a Spartan.
Yeah, like, when I think it's Alice, like, flips over the elites and she's literally taking them out with...
Yeah, it was like there's a group of Spartans decimating a group of elites, and then there's one Marine struggling to kill one...
Well, that's the elite.
To be fair, that is the Arbiter.
I mean, to be fair, it is the elite, but...
And then, like, at some point, I think
cool
Alice, like, grabs one to, like, tank a stab with this elite's body.
Yeah, and then she, like, runs him through another one.
Yeah, and then
Douglas, grabs a spear and, like, impales one and, like, hits another one in the back behind him.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So cool.
Meanwhile, Forge is also having a badass fight, though.
I know, man.
This is a lot more back and forth, though.
Yeah, so Forge is... The Arbiter's kind of just playing with him, because this Arbiter's very arrogant and, like, full of himself and overconfident. So Forge, like, unloads his assault rifle into him, doesn't do anything.
He tackles him, which was a crazy move, honestly.
That was...
Yeah, but before that, the Arbiter hits one of his energy swords into the reactor.
He swings at Forge, and Forge, like, dodges it, and he, like, slices the slip space drive.
Yeah. And so Forge, like you said, he tackles the Arbiter, and then I forget how.
Then the Arbiter, like, flips him off and punches him in the stomach.
Oh, yes, yes.
And then they end up like rolling
Not
a
looking
bunch.
good for our boy.
Then like Forge ends up on top, and Forge pulls out his magnum and shoots the Arbiter like 20 times in the hand to get him to drop his sword.
Yeah, like such a smart move too.
That
so
was
the Arbiter drops
cool,
his
actually.
sword, and then
Eventually he throws
pulls
Forge
out,
and grabs him by the head.
Yeah, he grabs his other energy sword because he has double energy.
Well, no,
he grabs the other one out of the slip. Oh no, does he?
Yeah.
I don't know which one he has.
He has two. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he has Forge by the head, and he's about to kill him. And then right before he stabs him, Forge pulls out like a knife and stabs him in the neck, and it like stuns the Arbiter enough for Forge to grab the energy sword, which is like as big as his body.
Yeah, it's so cool how it's bigger than him. It shows the scale, I think, really well.
Yeah, and he stabs the Arbiter through the chest.
Doesn't he just stare at the Arbiter as he
then
dies?
He goes, "For the record, I would have kicked your ass the first time if the lady didn't stop me."
Yeah.
But then
Forge's voice actor is somebody.
It's Nathan
I know
Drake.
Who that is. Oh, okay.
I forget the guy's name. Nolan something?
Yeah, it's Nolan North, right? I think.
That sounds familiar.
Omni-Man?
No, not that Nolan.
Oh.
Or Nathan Fillion? No, Nathan Fillion's Buck.
Yeah, that's Buck. I don't know. Keep talking. I'm going to look it up.
So then after that, we get a scene of them all talking together, like they've regrouped, and it's pretty funny because you see like one of the Spartans just throw the Arbiter's body off this like cliff, and that's where I'm wondering.
Yeah, this nonchalant.
That's where I'm wondering. It's like, how'd they get that armor back? Because that armor's in the main series. I guess they went and recovered his body because he's probably in the mausoleum, right?
Yeah, or do you think they just made another set?
I don't think they could have recovered his body because of what Forge does in that thing. So I don't think there's going to be a body.
Someone must have. It is Nolan North. Someone had to
I just
recover it.
Couldn't they just make more armor, or is that sacrilege?
They definitely didn't make new armor because in Halo Wars 2, they literally say your armor's too old.
Huh.
Oh, wow.
So it's like the original
That does raise a good question.
Armor.
Maybe the book hasn't been written yet for that.
Maybe there's multiple sets of old Arbiter armor.
Nah, they
just have copies.
Someone grabbed maybe the ones that were leaving with Regret because Regret left right before that.
Yeah, maybe they found his body on the way out.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyways, so continue. Then they get to the big reveal.
Oh yeah, so the forge what's it called? The reactor was damaged in the fight, and turns out that the timer's no longer going to work, and it's going to have to be like manually fired. And so Jerome, being the leader, kind of steps up and assumes like he's going to do it. And Forge kind of tells him no. He calls him son, which is kind of weird because I don't know. That just threw me off. He's like, son, I have a feeling we're going to need every Spartan in the fight. So he says, go back to the ship and regroup with everybody, and I'll set the timer.
Too bad random Marine died. They should have just used him. But I thought it was cool how like Jerome was going to, but then also Forge was willing. Actually had a reasonable response. He's like, I guess a Spartan's more important.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad, but I just like the way that the Spartans are so calculated and like unfeeling. Like as soon as he said that, Jerome does give him like the kudos of being like, it's been an honor, sir, or something like that.
Like there's a sign of respect about it, but he's not like,
yeah, but he doesn't
sad.
Like disagree at all. He's like, yeah, you're right. They need me.
But it's pretty interesting because like there's like a brief moment where he's just kind of staring, but you can almost tell he's thinking it through.
No, that's impossible to do with a helmet on, remember?
No, it's not. It's you can definitely
the guy playing Chief told me it's impossible to show feeling with a helmet on.
No, you can do it. That cutscene proves it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You can tell. You can tell that he was like he thought about it because he was like just blankly staring and then responded. Like you can tell he was thinking between that moment.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Just kidding.
I love the little nuances between the Spartan team too. Like they just communicate in like subtle glances and nods throughout the fight. It's so cool.
Yeah, like because they know each other. Like
what's also cool about that is that like
team
thing that the Spartans have between each other, Chief and Arbiter end up having.
Yeah, that is cool.
Anyways, so then we get to the last level, which also I thought was pretty good. You have to like open these.
I thought this level was really fun.
I struggled with this level only because it took me a bit to figure out the mechanics.
Yeah, I did too. I was like, why the fuck didn't I already do this?
She was like, didn't like,
because you have to do opposites.
I kept missing the audio thing in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this one's cool because it's like half Flood and half Covenant. So you kind of want to make different things, right? You don't want to make too much infantry, but you also want some to take down the Covenant buildings.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I kind of just went with ODST strat.
I think I went with mostly them with the Hawks.
This level I did steal a Scarab though. I specifically I dropped a bunch of ODSTs like near a base of mine. Had Jerome and Douglas or Alice, whoever it was, and next to those ODSTs, got a Pelican, flew them to the Scarab because it like allowed me to do that, and then just had one of the Spartans hijack it while all the ODSTs like died and distracted it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. But basically the concept of the level, there's this like airlock thing that's keeping the Spirit of Fire from exiting the inside of the planet.
Yeah.
And so you have to deactivate like each airlock, but they're like across from each other. So the only way to deactivate it is to do one and then get to the opposite side and do the other. And there's like 4 of them, something like that.
One thing too is that you have to make sure that there's no enemies nearby because it's like down. Only the humans can turn it off.
Yeah.
And then you're also timed because Forge is like defending the bomb and needs to not die before he blows it up.
Yeah. So he's I can only give you so much time.
Yeah, so then he comes on and he like the timer starts and then like
he like talks you through it.
Yeah,
it's cool.
It is cool.
And then you get the second most badass cutscene of this game.
Yeah, you open the airlock and then everybody evacuates back to the Spirit of Fire. And then that's the last level of the game. That's it.
Yeah, but you get a cool cutscene.
Yeah, you want to do the cutscene?
Bert, you seem to be the most hyped about this one.
I don't know if I'll be able to do it justice, so you might have to fill in my gaps.
Just try.
Okay. So they need to get out of there, and there's like so then they have the Serena, I think the AI's name is.
Yeah, well at first they're
he does
trying,
a scan.
And they can't.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, so they can't like escape like the gravity or something.
Yeah,
right?
they can't generate enough
like thrust
to get out of the gravity of it's a sun that's inside of this planet, like a mini sun.
They're getting sucked towards it. They're pretty close. It's hard to escape. So they do a scan and they find out there's like a hole pretty much that they like to the surface.
Yeah, like a pinhole. So small.
So then Cutter is like he's thinking and he's like, I have an idea. And he suggests the idea of like using the sun in the center of the planet as like a slingshot.
It's so crazy.
Like to accelerate towards the sun, do a gravity turn, do a 180, and then thread the needle, I believe he says,
like, what the
through
hell?
the tiny hole.
And then Serena's...
And he's like, run the numbers.
Yeah, and she's like, it's a so 0 whatever % chance. And then
It was so outrageous to me. I was like, it was so outrageous that you had to accept it. Because, like, to this point,
but I think the reason you accept it is because it's so outrageous. And then Serena, like, after Cutter says, all right, do it, Serena goes, all right, target, like, setting course for an exploding sun. Prepare to die, everyone, or something like that.
Yeah, she says something crazy.
So then they all sit down to, like, get ready for this insane, like, maneuver they're about to pull. And then she, like, chimes in, and she's like, hold on, everyone, close your eyes.
She's really funny.
She is. And but it works, and you slingshot around the sun, and there's like cool visual and
but they're like lost with all hands because they've now lost their slip space drive.
Yeah, so they get out, and now that since Forge detonated the slip space drive, they have no way to get back home. So then there's like a little bit of a time jump. And Anders is like, well, I
think it's 2 weeks or something. Whatever. He's like, we haven't seen the Covenant in 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, and Cutter's like, we need to put everybody in like cryo so that people stop aging and like we just wait to be rescued, hopefully.
Yeah.
And so Cutter puts her...
It's kind of depressing if you think about it, though.
Yeah, it is kind of.
Like, if you go to the military, like, you can just accidentally be put into cryo for 50 years and, like, actually lose everyone.
I mean, better than the entire planet being destroyed.
No, I guess, but it's just kind of, it's like you're truly a goodbye moment.
Yeah.
And you, or not you, but for context, nobody knows where they're at. So like when they followed Anders' signal, they jumped to an unknown location. Like they don't know where they went. And so like the UNSC doesn't also know where they're at either.
And they also did it without orders, so no one even knows where they went or why.
Yeah, because so they're just missing.
I think when she activated the thing, it revealed another map, and it showed like another star system, and the Covenant destroyed it before the humans got to it, so they couldn't.
Yeah, that is what happened.
See the data, and then that's when the Arbiter was like, "Isn't this like sacrilege or something?"
Yeah,
or heresy, like heresy. I think you said.
Yeah, you are right.
Because they were destroying Forerunner structures.
But yeah, so Forge puts her, or not Forge, he's dead. But
Cutter puts
Anders into cryo, and then
she's like, "You saved everyone," cryo. And she goes, "Not everyone."
Yeah, and then he passes by Forge's like cryo chamber with his name on it.
And then he shuts it.
Yeah, it's pretty.
In a somber moment.
And then the credits roll.
When this game came out, though, this was so freaking hype because when you finish this game, this was confirmation that other Spartans exist still. Because at the time, you think only Chief is left.
Yes, and like every promotional thing always talks about him as being the last Spartan. So now, like, knowing that these Spartans are out there, like I remember when I played it as a kid, I was like, holy crap, that means Chief isn't the last one. That means these Spartans are alive somewhere. And I always thought
somewhere
that was
out
cool.
in space.
Yeah, very cool. Because like it's like there's more Spartans. Like it's not like obviously it didn't come out yet, but like reaches where there are more Spartans, but not really because that was before.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the Legendary ending thing? It's pretty quick. I didn't play it on Legendary, so I saw it on YouTube.
Oh, you do it?
No, I don't know about this.
It's just like a one line. It's like Serena saying something to Captain Cutter. I forget what she says. I think she just says, "Captain, wake up," or something like that.
Yeah, it's the first line of Halo Wars 2.
So
Halo Wars 2, man, starts off pretty sad though because it's like way later.
Yeah, it's over 25 years
I wish we
later.
could talk about it right now, but we can't. It's just like obviously just because of where it's taking place, so much has happened. I mean, the Human Covenant War is over. They don't even know that the Human Covenant War is over. Not only that, but they knew they were losing. They don't even know if humans still exist.
Yeah, and they were at the beginning of the war. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Red Team getting stuck there probably saved them, though, because they would have been recalled to Reach once Reach was attacked.
Probably. Or just died there.
Maybe or maybe not they die. I don't know. Who knows? But they are alive, as far as I know. I haven't finished Halo Wars 2, so.
What if something happened in a book and we just don't know?
Very possible.
Unless it was in the recent 3. I've not read the recent 3 books.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Halo Wars.
Chances are good.
Yeah.
It's fun.
But yeah, that's Halo Wars. It's fun, and the story is cool. It adds to the lore. It adds to the universe.
Definitely expands the universe.
Yeah. It's a fun game. And it's different. It's like a palate cleanser because it's way different from all the first-person shooters and stuff.
Yeah, I was able to like sit back in my bed, hold my controller, and just play it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like
the next episode for the Halo series, which is in not next week but the following week, will be Halo 3 ODST. That is the next one, I think. Yeah, it is.
ODST is probably my favorite Halo game.
Yeah, we will get into that on the next Halo episode, and thank you everybody for listening. You can find us at saltcastpod@gmail.com. You can find Bert at his house or at his college
Please
dorm.
Don't appreciate it.
He's available at any time to talk.
I guess.
I'll leave his number.
I'll respond to emails.
You can find him online.
His number in the show notes.
You can find him on Xbox as
Upscale Earth
dox
7.
Me.
You can find him online at the one and only Real Bert. But yeah, Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for listening,
and
guys.
We will see you next time.
Keep it salty.